One, consumers showing a rapidly increasing willingness to shop direct with brands, bypassing traditional distribution. So caring a lot less about stores, caring a lot less about the corner bike shop in our case, or the suburban mall retail experience, but choosing very, very rapidly to go direct to brands that mattered to them. As most of you know, the dirty secret in the apparel and the footwear and the accessories business is that the vast majority of the cost structure of garments and products and footwear is burned up in distribution costs, markup costs, inventory costs, and then the marketing that is required to support that complex and expensive distribution. And so one important shift for me was looking at consumers saying, I don't care about that much anymore. I want to go direct to brands and I want to buy direct from brands. The other thing was that I was convinced, particularly being in the Bay Area, that a lot of the great brands that were emerging in multiple categories were emerging not on the backs of big brand marketing spends, but rather through word of mouth, through social, not with huge investments in billboards and full-page print ads and TV spots. And then the final thing was that you hear a lot about in the American manufacturing space is what I perceived as a lack of substance among brands that were out there. And I grew up at a time when brands like Levi's and Red Wing and Woolrich and Carhartt and a lot of these great iconic American brands still were making phenomenal product and had real resonance around the brands themselves. And as I looked across particularly the basic knitwear space, there was very little of that in my estimation, very few brands that actually really resonated with customers. So that was the idea. The idea was to sell direct, invest in product, build a brand that stood for a few things, and then really lean on our customers to talk about and spread the word around the brand. So that was the basic idea, and I would just add that we've been around for a couple of years. We've been lucky enough to experience pretty fantastic growth over the last couple of years, moving from production in part of a factory in California to now in 5 separate facilities all across the U.S. and still unable to meet the demand for the brand. I would say that despite that, it is a incredibly competitive market space out there, and particularly in the apparel world. It's a very competitive environment, and I think that consumers are becoming incredibly discerning about not only what they demand out of brands, but the level of transparency into brands and brand values and supply chain is gathering a lot of speed. We as a brand spend, I think, our priority is product first and foremost, but we think an awful lot about product, about value, how we release product into the market in a category, at a pricing category that can reach the mainstream consumer and really blow people's hair back with that intersection of product and value, about corporate values, about what we stand for as a company and the kind of organization that we want to build. But even that I don't think is enough. I think you have to have a phenomenal service platform underneath that that really recognizes the challenges that we're asking our customers to endure by shopping directly with pure play e-commerce brands. And then finally, a brand that has dimension and that has accessibility and appeal around it as well.